Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for the fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit educational or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair. All topics are for entertainment purposes only. None of the information presented in this video or by B-Girl TV should be taken as fact. Every situation is based on personal experience. Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome, let me see. We have a new member, Jean Wholeness. Welcome, new member, Jean Wholeness. Thank you for becoming a member to the channel. Mr. Camille, I know you've been waiting patiently to go into this live, so for that I want to thank you. People are coming in. Oh wow, I'm so excited to see that people are actually coming in early this time. So we're actually going to jump right on in. For those of you who are coming late, you can catch this on the replay. But let's just let's dive in. Guys, you guys been waiting for this conversation for the longest time. For those of you who are tuned in on Instagram, make sure you make your way down to YouTube because you will not be able to hear the guest on Instagram, and you also won't be able to comment. I mean, well, you can comment, but he won't be able to see your comments to answer your question. But for those of you who've been waiting for this live, because I know you guys been waiting for weeks, okay? I would love to introduce my guest, Delano Dubuisson. He is from Colón, and he is running for representante. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's a representative of a barrio, which is a neighborhood, for those of you who are in the States. And I'm so excited to have him on the channel today. I've been super excited since the day that I actually met him. Well, had a chance to have a conversation with him. And for those people are still coming in, so guys, you aren't missing anything. You're just coming in, it's fine. We're just doing introductions, right? When I was looking for guests, my friend, his name is Jay. He is a tour guide who will actually be on the channel later on in the future. And I was telling him what I was trying to do because he is also a subscriber of the channel. And he knows where my heart is. And he said, hey, I got to put you in contact with my friend. He's running for Representante de Colón. Yes, guys, make sure you hit that like button, okay? And he said, I got to introduce you to this guy. He's very knowledgeable. And just like you, he is doing really major things in Colón. And for those of you who know, Colón is majority, it has a large population of Black people. So I'm thrilled to have him on the channel today. I know that you guys are thrilled to have him on the channel as well. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. You got to hit the like button. So welcome, Delano. Okay, welcome.
Greetings. Thank you for having me.
So yes, tell me about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Delano Dubuisson. I earned the African name Sankofa by a good friend of mine from Ghana. And just to put in place the proper pronunciation of Barrio Norte will be North Ward. Okay, North Ward. And it symbolizes a population of close to somewhat 35,000 people of our beautiful Black people living in the province of Colón. So I will save the rest for the host to make the questions, and then I will elaborate about our beautiful city and our beautiful people that is much need to be heard about them. So I hope y'all are ready. Thank you.
Liz Z, good evening. Okay, so this is his first time being on the channel, guys. So how it works is, of course, I answer questions, but the people who are in the comment section, they also they're here all the time. Look, they're having conversations with each other. They also ask questions as well. But one of the things that I want to start with is a lot of people know of Cologne because they ask. They know that it's populated majority Black people, but in the same token, they put Cologne as a place where they tell people not to go to. They flag it on the U.S. Embassy website as well, not to go to Cologne, to the point where people are super scared to even step foot in Cologne. Why do you feel that is?
Okay, first and foremost, we live in a capitalistic society. And when you live in a capitalistic society and you have the majority of Black people living on what is called one of the most privileged coasts in the whole entire world, and I will say that with a lot of pride, um, you don't find an easy way to actually push them out. The word that they use in politics is gentrification.
Mm-hmm.
So they have moved forward with an agenda. Um, I, I, for the most part, from day one, I call it culture genocide, because our people are so disenfranchised in economics. You can expect a, a population or people or any kind of society to come to a full growth if you've been living under minimum wage since the early 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
Is insidious, and nobody speak of economics and how a person should earn what's rightfully the sweat of they labor. So we can target now in this day of age, um, capital society. We can target them, but we are so fractured in education, in the sight of having a more broader vision. Nonetheless, people still are resilient because they have a warmth in them, but they are very defensive to what little they have. So inside of this agenda, you can present the north side of our country. And when I mean the north side, because we belong to what they call El Caribe, you
Mm-hmm.
know, the other side will become El Pacific. And when I mean the other side is across the bridge that we call Puente de las Americas. From El Puente de las Americas going towards what you will call Capira, Chame, Gorgona, Coronado, and other areas, you see that their growth is more diagonal. Ours is horizontal, and they call it PHs. But of course, when you start building these PHs, the salary bracket that we live in is just like having a whole different zip code without with extra zeros, no numbers to add. So of course, we are a very defensive union of people. So because of our way of being defensive, we become defensive within ourselves. So we battle against each other. It becomes a division because there's so little to grab from. But nonetheless, we have leaders, we have social community workers um, that stand up against this. And this makes the agenda have a dent because the existing of people, I won't say just as myself, because there's many others that fight to keep Colón afloat. It's not um, no different that you will go into Google Map and just zoom in into Cologne and you see so much green that you wonder if a place has so much vegetation, why is the people so hostile? The people
Mm-hmm.
is not hostile. People in Cologne, I think Cologne is the only place that you can actually knock on a door and they will open their door to you and give you a warm plate of food without nothing in exchange. But the others, once it becomes, they start reading in you. some kind of advantage, they become defensive. So this is the same thing that is projected in mothers, in children, in husbands, in brothers and sisters. This they put the stop because they don't want to be fooled anymore. They're tired of that.
Liz Z said, I did a little research. The original name was Aspen Wall. It was an American repat enclave. That's what Liz Z said.
Okay, Aspinwell was actually a contractor that came all the way to Colón. But before he came to Colón, we got to look at his own history. This is an Englishman who left England and went all the way to Washington, D.C. And because of the color of his skin, he got a contract to come over here to build a railroad. So when he come down here to build a railroad, he realized that, hey, who are the best people to do this? Let's call the Caribbean. So they call people from St. Lucia, St. Martin, people from Jamaica, and you go all the way around the belt of the Caribbean and you bring them as a lease. Now, a lease have an expiration date. Aspinwell was so happy that whoever was in control back in those days in the U.S. gave him that opportunity to come down here to Colón. Nonetheless, he faced a resistance because from the place they wanted to build this railroad was from the area of what we call Costa Arriba. And Costa Rica is such a beautiful place where we have Portobelo, and then you have Nombre de Dios, and you have Santa Isabel. So all the way down that belt, we have a little island they call Isla Grande, and so many others that the water is so crystal. So they realize that hey, these people are too hostile. They don't want us in here. So they had to move that railroad into the city, and that's where they start actually trenching or opening the new gutter, gut out the whole country so that they could reach from Colón to Panama because Colón became the heart of the Panama Canal. So Aspinwell, of course, anything that someone comes and he becomes the first one to put the first hand of labor, you reward him with his name like if he was a conqueror. And I don't accept that. Nonetheless, he did his thing, but I don't accept what we got in return. And that is the same minimum wage that I'm speaking of. Because what we got paid when he was here, we still getting paid today.
So you telling me that from the 1800s, the same.
1903 to be exact.
Okay, so from 1903, the amount of money that was they were paying people at that time is the same amount of money that they're paying people right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. We just got to do the math. It's no difference than saying my minimum wage in the U.S. was 3.25 in McDonald's, and now they're giving me $16. It's still minimum wage because we're
When
looking at rents depending on the city that you're living at in the whole 52 states. So we living in a country that first we had 9 provinces, now we got a 10th one. And how the number 10 became number 10 if he doesn't take a piece of backbone out of our own ribs, and we still in the same condition. If we could speak about millionaires per capita, you don't have none because black people are so given. We give so much
yes,
that in the realization that we will do for our people and take them out of the gutter and take them out of the mud, it will be no play for the capitalists that want to turn Cologne into maybe a small little copy of Dubai and not a small little copy of Ghana or Nigeria. Everything got to be making their image. God was not looking like you. So it looked more like me, and I don't call myself Cristo Negro de Portobelo, which I don't know some of the audience will be familiar with it if the history is being placed. They were so entwined with the idea that this black Christ was down in that area of Costa Arriba. So they try to place a white one over there because it means Thai. Economics, it's all economics. And funny thing that I mention it because his celebration day is about to come up on October 21st. And these are things that our society need to actually open their eyes and realize that Economics play a very, very big factor in the flight of our people, in the hostility of our people. And our hostility is never against us. But when we don't have nobody else to fight with, who you think we won't fight?
Against
And
each
it doesn't
other.
mean that we want to harm self because we are not suicidal. Don't matter what happened to our people just don't take their life. We make life. We have made this place, and it's not fair for them to look for a way strategically to try to push us out. You know,
But this has been going on for a very, very long time. And I noticed that now the people of Cologne are now, a lot of people are using their voices to be heard. I mean, what was it? A couple of months ago, they were protesting in the streets. They were talking to the president. A lot of people were expressing their anger towards the president of the situation that has been going on in Cologne. Um, do you think that, or do you foresee that there'll be some type of change?
um, it's a possibility. Black people are very hopeful. Our people are so hopeful, and we have faith, and that's something that some that serve the other side does not have. So they have to believe in the power of their own money. But we believe in something else that is greater than just money. So when we look at the leaders of this country, and we say to the leader of this country, how is it possible that you want to build a whole entire complex, but we don't have a hospital? It's sort of like many years ago when someone said, you don't need 12 members of the Supreme Court to tell you that racism is wrong. So you don't need a whole entire society to go in the street, lit up tires, you know, present what they call the first line of human defense, which is self disobedience. If you decided, hands down, I'm not going to lift up a pen, I'm not going to walk, I'm not going to talk, you have a society that is crying from the inside. So the failure of a leader of the nation to just look at you and say, well, what is your grievance? Well, my grievance is I don't have water, I don't have a hospital, I'm still in the same minimum wage, I'm being disrespected by your authority because you put the National Guards in the street in order to repress me because I'm complaining about you raising the food, you're raising the gas, we don't have a proper home. You build an enclave and you close us inside there. In no place in the planet you hear that someone is given an apartment where he have to pay not over $100 a month, and they can't even afford to pay that. That is a cry out. Someone have to actually place this on the table and let them understand. You cannot tell someone, I'm going to provide you with public housing and it's $100 a month and you can't even afford that.
What do
So
you? Okay, I'm sorry.
so yes, we have to approach the president. Yes, we have to approach the country. And if we don't want no one to come in here unless they come in to actually bring a solution, because we are tired of the politics. We are tired of people saying, oh, we should do this or we should do that. No, we need a simultaneous action. We don't have a problem picking up the garbage. We don't have a problem painting up the bad building or fixing, doing the repairs that need to be done. But is the money coming from? You want to look at a person who is making literally $250 every 15 days, and you won't tell him to buy bricks and to buy metals and to get a welder. How does he feed his family? So we are as we move forward, we see the ladder of economics in a real tilt way, and it's not going to be conducive to have a very, very decent organized society. We aim for organized society. We love to look nice, do our hair, ladies do their nails, and smell good. But everything costs money, and they making all this money off of what we invented.
Correct.
Okay, so this is the position. You will see a beauty shop, a lot of beauty shop, and beauty shop are doing well because it's our art. Now it has been changed where you see, and I have to shift it to one of the oldest church that we have right here in the city. The oldest church had service, and this is a Pentecostal church, had service in English because we have a population at 48% black people that spoke English. So within the new era, they brought a Cuban preach that don't speak no English. So now the flock is looking like how this happened. Oh no, we came with an order from the highest authority in the church. So they just have to accept it. So now things are done to us in such a sublime way. First, they swift and shift your religion. They
Mm-hmm.
swift and shift your way of education, even your way of eating. Eventually, they want to start telling you what to put on your body. And they're really telling you that in silent because your zip code does not allow you to go to the big mall in the city. So you have to settle from what is inside a free zone. Now they call Colón this big Puerto Libre. But what does Puerto Libre represent when you have to take a blue sticker and put it in an item? If you say Colón as a city is Puerto Libre, that means everything in Colón is Puerto Libre. That means that when 10,000 tourists come off of a ship, they can walk this country, this city, this town, this ward, and do what a tourist do. Enjoy the food, do the hair if they want to, change color of our clothes, and they don't pay no taxes. But when they leave, who pay the taxes? We do. Totally wrong. So yes, we got a lot to say to our president. And yes, we will be closing up the street. Nothing against the tourists, nothing against self-destruction. But reality is, if we are not empowered with economics in the right way, this one will continue.
So Marta said everything in Cologne is going crazy, and we have faith for Oye rights. And then Alexis S says, "This is where global investment is necesito." I don't know. Okay. Organize and present projects to investors globally. It's no borders to getting invested. I think the point that he's trying to make, I'm going to leave the comment up for you to see it.
Well,
Oh, go ahead. You answer the
well,
question.
yes, I sure do get it, and I appreciate the question. Um, I am for one believe in global investment. I am for one believe that you should come in and place your investment on the table and do it right. But when you have a president, and I quote who president, I'm going to say her name is Mireya Moscoso, just to give you one scenario. The call centers came into this country and decided to give our people a minimum wage equally to the one in the United States. Nonetheless, this young lady said, hey, no, we cannot do that because we want to destabilize the nation. Oh, it's going to be a disstability because black people will be empowered economically. These new investors that come in have to actually tell the president, we are not going to go nowhere because these people need us. And you all not want to get in our pocket because they speak of the people who walk every day that we always are pandering. It's not that we pandering. Reality is the government does this and they fracture the contract with these international investment from the get-go. So then the investor just run because they know is a dip and come up, as they would say back in the patois days. You dip and come up, or them come down, dip and come up. They big robbers, and it's their nature. It's their nature. They use laws as they see fit. But if you hold them accountable with the same laws, then they run because the heat is too high. And they like, oh no, that's not what I wanted to say. I couldn't interpret it no better. In the same token, because they go parallel. Students in this country, when they in fifth grade, seventh grade, that will be in America, fifth, same fifth, sixth.
Mhm.
They used to practice that they were able to go into free zone and become an apprentice, and they will earn maybe 20 hours a week, and they will get paid those 20 hours. This was taken away from them. So now these kids no longer are empowered with the learning ability of what it is to have at least 50 to $100 in their pocket to do for self. Now, everything that they do, they have to look at mom and dad. And we know as we are grown ups and adults and living in reality, mom and dad are not there every day to provide, especially if one of them are the bone back at the house. So these kids will go out there and claim they washing a car. I don't want to see my son or my daughter washing a car like it's a job to save their life. It's very degrading and diminished to see a young kid that should be studying, should be learning something to prepare for the future, that he have to sweat in that way. It doesn't matter if he's sweating and he's earning a real, as they say, honest dollar. But nobody take an underage child at age
Mhm.
12 and 13 and put him on wash no car.
Mhm.
It's not right. That's why our government have to provide what we call resarcimiento social. They have to build these institutions so our kid, besides earning a dollar, can get an education. But there's no education in washing a vehicle. It doesn't mean that he can do it maybe once a week. Wash your father's car, maybe your uncle's. But making it a hustle, that's not a way of life. Then he believed that that's a way to earn for the rest of his life, and that's not so.
What can people do to actually change that narrative? Because I feel like I have, like, people, I'm surprised that the chat is so quiet today. I guess people are just like are taken back a little bit from this perspective, because usually people are just very, very chatty in the chat. But I know that there are people that want to do something, but like you said, the government makes it hard. And I'm just telling you from my point of view as a business owner, it's very hard to have a business or to even invest in Panama, because they put so much. It's always this. You have to pay municipio this. They tax you for everything. They have people that come into your stores and they look everything over. They find it's so much huelga vivos within the system, that it's so hard for you to want to even invest in Panama. Um, like you said, that's why people leave. But how can we change that? I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and have this conversation and say, oh, well, everybody should do this, everybody should do that. Even you give an explanation, but what can actually be done to change that narrative? Because honestly speaking, if it continues on like this, a lot of people are not going to invest in Panama at all. You
Okay.
had IHOP, who was a big, big franchise that was in Panama, and then all of a sudden, after the pandemic, they all left. You have other franchises from the US that even tried to get into Panama, but the way the laws are, they can't come in and invest. Most people, unfortunately, people of color don't own businesses in Panama at all. And then the ones that are of color that own businesses, we can't even own businesses to our own people, because then you have outside people seeing, oh, well, they're doing this, well, I'm going to do that too. So I think a lot of it, number one, starts with education, educating your own people. And I think you and I had this conversation before about, I feel personally that the younger generation really don't care about their blackness, that they don't really have that oomph, they don't have that fight in them to fight for that, because apparently here in Panama, racism does not exist. So I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'm just saying quote unquote. What would you say to that?
Okay. First, beautiful question. I know for a fact that this country needs international sanctions because you creating a culture genocide against the people who have labored with every single speckment of his body. His DNA is embedded in this nation. And you have not given to that country, we have in Spanish a word that we call resarcimiento social. It's somewhat a retribution. It's not that you are asking for them to give you any money. You have to create the establishment so that someone can go in that establishment becomes beyond a professional, beyond a professional, because we have something that we in English they call it customer service. If you want to, you know, if you are paying your money anywhere, you want to be treated the right way. If you want to live in a country, you want to be treated the right way. The country create procurements, the government create procurements, and they believe in give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And this is where the Wega Vivo and the taxation comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have so many departments that don't need to exist in order to run 4 million people. Let's be clear. 4 million people. You got towns in places in the world that have more than 4 million people. Towns. This is a whole entire country with 4 million people. And in a good vacation day, you might reach 5,600,000. And one of those days was when they had this big rally with the Pope here in this country. They call it the JMJ. And you have pilgrimage all over. Everybody was opening their house to these foreigners that was coming into this country. And you didn't see the statistics speaking of no crime. So when it came to cater to the Vatican, because they was trying to uplift their face from all the bad propaganda that they was getting from that pedophilia life that some of their preachers was practicing, not all of them, but some of them, they needed to get a facelift. So they did this big party and they created this big carnival. That's what I would call it, just that it was a religious carnival. And you have peace for maybe 30 days. You won't tell me that we cannot accomplish that year in and year out, because the amount of money and the amount of effort that was put by the government in order to ensure that this happened was above and beyond. The country understood the investment. The country understood the approval of the budget by Congress for this event. But you got people in Colón dying every day, and the only thing you can think of is buying weapons, is buying anything that had to do in order to oppress a people. Some of the people that come down here in order to enforce the law don't even speak our same language. And I don't mean that they are not Panamanian. I mean that they don't look like me and look like you. They come down here with an agenda, and this agenda have layers. It have time and space, and they will use every single one of it because the devil is patient, because
Mm-hmm.
he can't fight against God. So he is patient, and anytime he can snatch a soul, that's what he does. In our city, I'm not going to shy away from the statistic that the government put out there. But by me living in here day in and day out, I know that that can be eradicated because and I tell you, you can look it up anywhere. This Cologne, this beautiful small city, does not have a drug problem. Because if you have a 0.1% of an addiction, you don't have a drug problem.
Correct.
It means that you can open one small home and you will have bed space. What you have is an intention to create the problem in this city when it comes to narcotics so that the red flag continue to be here. So the solution number one is international intervention. For the first time, this country need to feel sanctions against human rights. The Human Rights Division have to place sanctions on this country and make them understand that if they don't fix the tax code for our people, if they don't fix the procurement within the government, if they don't start giving these people what they deserve as a people that been laboring from day one, because I got four generation here in this country, and I had to go back to school, re-educate myself, and I'm still fighting. Because don't matter if I make a good living or if I don't make a good living. I refuse to leave this place because if I leave, then the same kids that look at me 20 years back, they will look at me and say, but you left me.
Mm-hmm.
If they're willing to listen to me, I'm pretty sure they're willing to listen to their parents. So it needs to be a parallel education. It's very easy for any one of us that have social mobility pick up a phone and speak about big investments. Hey, brother, you can buy this house for 50 grand and you can turn it into this and this. Let's be realistic. Colón is a town that was built for one purpose, to service the Panama Canal, because you need to live as close as possible to the place that you are willing to make money for the capitalists. In that way, Colón became a home for many. The military in the Second World War had a lot of people as the reserve living in Colón. And in order for them to stay sane, they created movie theaters, which was number one source of information. It wasn't about the karate movies and the cartoon movies or whatever. It was more about information so that people could be in touch with what was going on around the world. So this little place, we had a movie theater in every block that you walk. Then you have what they call burdelos. Then you have tinas, and you had bodegas, and you had a lot of restaurants. So you realize that what I just mentioned, there's not even one industry, no industry. Everything had to do with give you something to eat and give you something to delight yourself. So if anyone came in to Panama and say, I want to go to Colón, they have to be focused that Colón is a place no different from Key West, no different from Norfolk, Virginia. If you try to build what is not conducive to this city, it will fail.
Hmm.
It will fail because it's not conducive to the city. El Casco de Colón, which is 16, literally 16 streets, from one end to the end, the only thing you will see a beautiful architecture that was placed by literally four different colonists. You will see French architecture, English architecture, Italian architecture, and Spanish architecture. Now Chinese are building, but they don't dare to build their own little architecture into Cologne because they all about the money. The small little store and continue making the dollar.
Okay, so this is a good question. Now that you brought that up, I'm glad that you mentioned the Chinese. Alex S says, so how do Chinese do it? What is their secret formula? They never have a problem starting businesses anywhere they go.
Well, thank you for the question. Chinese are backed up by their own bank. Show me a bank that says I am black. Let's say Russell Simon years ago he came up with black card. Just an idea, just an utopian idea. If my name, which is on screen, had a black card and I was providing this black card with a limit of 5 grand to every single people from Cologne, my interest, I will get so rich that I don't want no more money. I will say I don't want it. But I will be empowering my people to do business, whatever business they choose. Cologne will be full again with beauty shop, laundromat, um, restaurants, nice little hotels, because you don't have room to bring a five-star hotel into the Costco itself. But it
Hmm.
doesn't mean that you cannot do it. You could do it. But first, you need to change the geographic of the beaches around our city because we're not going to look like Monaco unless the Arabs and the Filipinos or the Chinese take it over because they got the money to do that. You not if I say we're not going to find millionaires by capital, you're not going to find billionaires by capital. They're not going to hear it. So the Chinese now, they I would tell you how good they are. They offer to buy every single rodent in this country
Like
to
they did
take
in
it back to
Jamaica.
China.
They did that to Jamaica too.
Now, this is news that doesn't come to the everyday people. But the whole idea that you want to buy roaches, ants, and rats and cats to put it in a container and ship it across the country, we are living a Charles Darwin capitalistic craziness. We are human beings. We are human beings. You cannot take what God placed on this earth to protect us in order for you to turn it into food. Good for you if you eat that. But this is Colón. We speaking about a town that literally have 300,000 people. 300,000, that's it. We are not pushing to become billionaires. We are capitalistic and we want to live. We enjoy our beaches. We enjoy soursop, aguacate, aki. We enjoy going fishing. We enjoy going party. We love to dance. We love to do what African always have done, just that we do it in a different fashion. That they cannot respect, and they will not respect it. That's why we make them respect us. Like I told my brother today, I said, you got to do it like Muhammad Ali did. Say my name. And Muhammad Ali literally took George Foreman, and I think it was George Foreman, and he kept beating on him until he said, your name is Muhammad Ali, because he had changed the man's name and tried to call him Cassius Clay. So this is us. We are from Colón. We are we are resilient. We have what it takes. We need training in customer service, but you can't tell a person to be in a manner and you don't have the establishment for them to actually perform. You need to give them the incentive that is really conducive for a person to uplift their home. So that when mom and pops come home, the children say, let me see what they bring in the bag.
Mm.
Because they so happy, they eager to say mom and dad. The structures start inside with the family. And it's not that the family can't do it. The government is failing these people. So until we don't see international sanction against this country, where because the international body is what feeding the capitalists in the city, until they don't feel that pressure, then they will start paying attention to Colón. Because the other nine um, cities in our country are thriving. They are so green and so beautiful. They got three, four, five different little shopping centers just across from each other. And
Yeah.
Chinese just have to take a space. But
Hmm.
here in Cologne, a Chinese come and he buy the whole building because the building is 2 for 1. And they know how to turn 2 for 1 into something because they come from a rice field. You're talking about a billion Chinese, and the government asks them, I need 30 years out of your life. And they do that. That's another market. That is the reality of it. If you look at any Chinese that was raised in Colón, but his mom went to the city to have him. He was born in Panama, but he was born in the city because they refused to take the pregnant woman to our non-existent hospital, a hospital where you got to walk up to the third floor because we had to have a strike in order to put an elevator in it. And this is what you will call dirty laundry. But I will say it. We got a building, the tallest building in this town. We used to call it Quince Piso. People in the 15th floor have to throw a bag with a rope, like if they're doing fire drills in order to get their grocery up. Because of course you're not going to walk up day and night. 15th flight because city councils in this town just listen to what the capitalistic tell them. Don't put no elevator in there. Let's see how much they want to resist. This is like a whole lean on me kind of episode running back.
You
Now,
have
they don't
two
want.
questions. Two
Oh yeah,
questions.
sorry about
I know
that.
you're passionate. So Senya or Zena said, I have a business in the US that is now registered in Panama. How can I find Afro Panamanian partners? That's one. And the other question from Lord Hukich says, it's not a question, it's a comment. It says, you don't want sanctions on Panama. Sanctions will do more to hurt the people than the government.
Well, I'm going to answer the first question because the second question have a different structure. The first question is, in order to get people interested in your business, like anything else, you present the brand, you present the depth of your brand. Once you present the depth of your brand and your brand shows that you are willing to take your people out of the mud, as Rastafarian use this way of holding hands, is we don't shake it because that's a European term. We actually want to pull you out of the mud. So you are showing this new potential investor that there's a way to come out and to stand up on a different ladder because your brand have depth, your brand have future. Once you present that, very easy a person will buy in because you are literally breaking it down to him, to the atom. To the next question, it is very very true that sanction hurt a country. But hear what you're saying. It hurt a country, but it doesn't hurt our people. Our people are so resilient that today it's called, they use this word, they call culture appropriation, apropiación de cultura.
Culture
That every
appropriation.
yes, that everything we have ever invented and done, we do it from scratch. We know how to live with the sun that God gave us. They don't know how to do that. They don't know how to do that because they don't appreciate the labor of our hand. They will expropriate our patents. They will steal every single thing that we ever come up with. Right here, we don't even have to go because I was speaking to someone about George Washington Carver and what he did with soya. They are so oblivious to the history that they only see the black people of this country, and those that was blessed to be able to step out of this country and go to America, and they are so really invested into their home. They give in the time that they need to give into the society that gave them also. So it's a give and take. I gave 5 years of my life to America. I gave them everything I could give them to best and to heart, and I say thank you. But I will just take my bag. You can keep the money. I will take my bag and come, and I will start from scratch so that my scent can go back into the soil of my home, and I won't die because we are so resilient with so little. To break it down, taking into to the Rastafarian form of life, I was able to be strong in my flight to continue doing what I'm doing. you know, and only someone that can speak your own language, and I mean understanding of your people. Like I told a girl the other day, young lady, you're 35 years old. Your son is 5 years. If you do 5 times 365, that's the time that you spend with your child, and there's no father. Who can pay you that? 5 times 365. That meaning this woman is nurturing that child every day and every night. That's why I gotta give her the number that way. And when she see the preponderance of time, because 5 years is 5 years because I do a good birthday every year. But the time that you actually invested into seeing your child from the small cut to the first tooth to preparing to go into kindergarten or preschool and continue doing that day in and day out with rain, sun, or how you call it, rain, sun, or shine, and they still got you on the minimum wage. You just hoping. We got to stop living off of hope. Literally, this country, the only way that they will respect us is by sanctions, because they took the Jamaicans out, they took the Haitian out because they didn't want to see more like me and you here. They didn't want to do that because they was the backbone of free zone. And when I spoke to them that they need to bring incentive in order to bring our people back to this town so that they can actually spend, and they was giving us jobs even if we was doing retail, but it was a retail with a commission. They took the shipping company out. Jamaicans could come here, and now they have to circumvent in order to take their goods back out. Or if they do it the way they want, they take their head off with taxes.
Yeah, because a
Right?
lot of Jamaicans always ask, how can they ship to from Panama to Jamaica? And I honestly really never knew the answer to that.
Of course, they did wrong to our people. And really and truly, everybody's our people. But when I see that you take Take people from Venezuela, you take people from Cuba, and you give them incentive in order to come and do their shopping here. But you just told the person that was holding up this country since I was born, literally, because from literally 1987, Jamaicans was all over this place, and they was here before I even came into life.
Yeah, my great grandmother was Jamaican.
You could have find coconut bread everywhere. And I mean, this is just to start to open your appetite, but you don't find that food anymore. Now you have the food is being changed. Now, those that still have that backbone from our black family, we still get to eat the good food. We still get to be resilient. And they will come down here to buy, or they will order it literally, order it, and people will get in their car and take it. Uber will Uber food from Colón all the way to Panama. A whole entire company buy that food. So sanctions may hurt. It will hurt capitalist Panama. But believe me, it won't hurt people in Cologne. They need to feel it. They need to feel it because we need to change the way they have the tax code in this country. How is it possible that our capital, Cologne, Cologne City, being the first entrance at the Panama Canal, we don't see a dime of that money? And all these companies should be taking care of these buildings. We got officials that are selling this sidewalk. That's public domain. How in the hell, excuse my French, how you take public domain and you put a container and call it a business? I'm not for that. I can educate my people on that, but the willingness to our government to do what's right in order to open business is to tell people it's okay to open those kind of business. And that's not a way to really uplift a town. It's not the way.
So, Badina Babe says, I have great hopes for Cologne. She also commented and said, it's like Harlem. Give the people enough to contain them in the same neighborhood. I'm told that the Chinese purchased the Panama Canal some years ago. I don't know if that is true. Do you know of that being true?
No, that's not accurate.
Okay. Amazing Oski says, Delano, do you see gentrification coming to Cologne anytime soon? If so, what areas do you think they would start with first?
Well, gentrification is already in process.
I
The,
told
the
y'all.
what the government is failing to see or realize is that a baby is born in Cologne literally every day. Every day you have three, four kids are coming into life, and they cannot build these complex fast enough. So every 5 years they come up with a new idea, some property that they decide that now they can develop it. If anyone in this chat was to say we want to put our conscious on our financial effort in order to buy 50 acres to do housing development, they would tell you that the place you can't do nothing there, and you can do this or you can't do that. But when they realize that the population are rising again in the city, that they are gentrifying, then they take that same property and they develop it. We have a place they call Altos de los Lagos, and they have a new development that is projected to have maybe another 10 more buildings in order to put, I don't know how they won't do it, but their projection is to put another 10,000 people in those buildings. This is the area.
Wait, 10,000 people from Cologne or 10,000 people from outside?
No, 10,000 people from Colón.
Okay.
See, Altos de los Lagos, you only see three shades of black. You don't see nothing else living in there. And that's when you know that you are literally in a concentration camp. You are living in a concentration camp because you are raided every day. You are raided, you are literally psychologically affected. If someone is selling illegal beer, just liquor beer, we're not talking about weed or drugs, they will raid that person's house because he's not paying taxes on those beers, that liquor. So they will raid that. So when the children see a group of uniform raiding that house, because the excuse will be always there's other paraphernalia. But then when they come up empty, they just say, well, we just have to sanction this woman because she had $300 worth of beer, illegal beer. Now, when children see this, anytime they see a police officer, they run for cover. This is an effect that is taking a toll on our people. Now, our gentrification is killing our own people within in the slowest way. You take their water away, you take their light away, and you give it back to them according to you. Whatever they had in the fridge or in the freezer that goes bad, the government says you have the right to put in a claim. You can tort me if you want, but you want to be in that court office over 2 years.
You're not lying. You're telling the truth. But
So
that's
so
not
we will
only in
walk
Cologne.
away from actually torting the government. Your vehicle, if we are paying taxes, it means that the street should be well. So your vehicle end up having some bump and bruises. So you decide I no longer want driving to Cologne. That's another way of gentrification because they just use another part of the agenda to keep you away from this city. Then the other factor, the violence. Yes, they call it gang. I don't call it gang. You have a system that seize and destroy. So you seize, but I don't see you destroy. When it's not, when it's like when you want to destroy the ladder of a corporation, you find dirt on them. So they found dirt and the chief of police that he was selling the guns back into the street. So he lost credibility with our people. If you lost credibility with our people, now the people is crying out, when you're going to destroy these weapons, you need to invite a group of the society so that they can witness that you are doing the job. They call it sensitive action. So none of us can go to actually bear witness that they are doing what they're supposed to do. But now they take everything that is illegal that they have confiscated in this country and send it to the US. I had to scratch my head on that one because really they think that we are boo boo the fool.
So, as far as gentrification is concerned, well, I think what he is specifically talking about is them, like you said, moving out people into Los Lagos
Los Lagos.
for people with more money to move in because apparently from what I heard they're the 13 streets, the 16 streets in
16th
Cologne, they're
Street.
trying to make it like New Orleans,
Correct.
like the French Quarters.
Correct.
And supposedly, those buildings that they're going to build up, they're going to make it super expensive, like luxury buildings for rich people to move in, and then move everybody from the inner city out to the outskirts of Cologne. So I would assume just by this information that you are agreeing with me that they're going to start gentrifying Cologne City first.
Of course. They already started. But like I said, we
What's
are
up with
we
the
are
Willcox building?
the Willcox building is an excuse to continue getting more money from the central government. Our people have different feelings, mixed feelings over a what you would call a historical site.
Yes.
And now this historical site, if it represent for us to have a better wage, take the building down. If having the building represent the backbone of black people here, then give me the history, the real one. Who was living in that building and why?
And so, the real history? Educate us.
Well, we didn't have where to live because everything in Cologne was made for a single individual, single man home. So the Wilcox, if anyone knows the Wilcox have more than 7 different steps. So because people was more from well, all the different descendants, and they have different language, they occupy that building because Mr. Wilcox, which is the owner of the building, he decided to give these people who was working in the canal a place to live. and they built the church right next to it so that they could have something to eat. Because the only thing they did, sleep, eat, and work. Sleep, eat, and work. As they already had their quarter, and it was time for them to go back home, they was already falling in love and talking about they want their wife here. So they took that single man home and turned it into a living quarter for two space.
I never knew that. Wow. It makes sense.
And now, and that's when they started to say, oh, vamos a llamarlo multifamiliares, because now you have multiple families. So now the history, yes, our black people was in there. There was so many different seasons flying over that building because the building is huge. It take over literally a whole block. And at that time, our people had a different weight and a different height. There's no mystery why Panamanians had a particular height and a particular weight. And it depends from what place in the Caribbean you came from. And they was bobbled by that. The Calypsonians, the ones in that spoke, they was very good, rap, have a what they call a freestyle.
Hmm.
So these Calypsonian, they had this freestyle, and they did their thing with the ukulele and the banjo, and it was a
Hmm.
way because the Willcox had a big patio,
Yes.
and it because it's the Englishman who built it. He built it looking at his colony in his country. Now, that is the beauty of Cologne because they brought all the architecture, they brought it in. They brought it in, literally, they brought it in. So we had no choice but to enjoy it and to make light of it because everything else that we knew was gone.
Mr. Camille says, where should tourists shop to help locals when visiting Cologne?
Tourists, you have an area they call La Playita. La Playita is a place that will make you dream. And the people in there, that's literally a lot of Rastas are in there. You will find three different kind of food in there, and everything have to do with sea, with ocean. So if you're allergic to seafood, just get some Benadryl. No, that's don't pay me no mind. But you enjoy some good seafood in La Playita. You can get it from steamed fish to fried fish. You could get the platanos, and you could get a good coca soup, fish soup. And from La Playita, then you have an area called Dos Mares that is right in Fifth, in between Central and Justo Arosemena. Um, and all of these businesses are black owned, and they take care and they take a lot of pride in how they feed our people. Because I myself, I want to hold them accountable for the good taste because I'm very critic and I want them to do well. And these are black owned. You have the whole entire Central Avenue. You can walk from First Street all the way down to 16th Street and admire the architecture because every single building have a story. It have a big full history. It's not hard to find someone that can speak to you about these buildings because most of the things in that I know it was because I hang out with what we would say the old heads, and that's how we do storytelling. We stand on the corner, play some dominoes, and we start putting it out there. And in the same way I was interested and I was cultivated, captured by these stories. There's a lot of kids now today that I give that back to them because that's not for me. I can't keep it. So that's one of the things I'm honored today that I'm able to share this with you all and expressing and hoping that I get to see maybe one day you all got my name. I'm very known down in my town, and not because of politics, but because of the love to my people. So I'm very honored. I'm very honored to be able to do this. Many years we wasn't able to do this. Cell phone was controlled by cable and wireless.
Yes.
Lack of opportunity for any black person who even wanted to buy stocks in those companies. We had to wait 20 years before we could say, okay, here's $25 so that I can become something in your company. So those are the things in that they will not want us to touch. Utility, no black man can invest. Invest
Let's
in
talk
anything else.
about Marcus Garvey because people don't know the history of Marcus Garvey and Cologne.
Well, Marcos Mosiah Garvey, Prince. Yes, our Prince came down here, and he came from way of Costa Rica. Costa Rica have a place called Limon, which our people are literally, we are cousins. So when he crossed over and he just keep on following, as they say, follow the money and you will find the crook. He was following the banana field. Once he crossed over to what they call Bocas del Toro, which is in the Pacific side, he starts seeing that, hey, we have a labor problem. So his knowledge about percentage was able to take him to create the first union. And of course, he was more of a Pan-Africanist. So he realized that wherever there was black people should be more. So he continued traveling until he reached to Colón. And he decided that Colón was the place he wanted to be at. So he opened his first print shop right here in 11 and Central, where there's a building that one of the oldest tailor, his name is Donadillo. For those who know, that building, that's where Marcos Mosiah Garvey had his first print shop. And then he had a subdivision of that print shop in 7 and Herrera, 7th Street, next to the Parque Cinco de Noviembre. And the brothers, because they were so happy and so high and the beauty and all the wealth of knowledge that he left, they became Israelites. So Marcos Mosiah Garvey was our front for Muslims, Rastafarians, Israelites, 5%ers, because he and um, Morse brothers, because he laid the fundamentals for them, and he did it from right here in Colón. And these are history that only those who know can bring it to school. Now, the Rastafarian community has fought in order to include some of these things in the curriculum of education. It go through the legislation, but we slowly achieving the space for it.
So there's a Rastafarian community in Cologne.
Yes, it's called Alianza Rastafaria de Panama.
Well, I need to put that in a comment. If people wants to know, well, that actually drives me to this next question that someone commented. Amazing Oski says, given the rich history in Cologne, are there any plans to build a museum to showcase the culture of Cologne?
In fact, there is. There was a school that was the most um, breeder of revolution blood. It's called Colegio Abel Bravo. And this school, it has such a strong history of revolution
My mom
that
went there.
that eventually the school was shut down and it became abandoned. So in the cry out for what the caller just placed, our government decided that they will turn it into the museum, a cultural museum.
Do
So
you know
they in the
when?
work as we speak. They are in the work in order to turn that place in a civic center and a cultural Black history cultural building.
Do you know for when it might be open? Like what
Um,
year
the
do they have it?
projection is the projection is somewhere in 2023, 2024, 2023, 2024. That's the projection. If
That's soon.
if the new government, because when new government come in, if they budget is not in accord, they will always stall, and that's the things that we speak of. If we are talking about showcasing our Black history, that will come second priority. So we have to hold accountable whoever's going to go into office. We have to hold them accountable with what they call a lock contract. That this have is a must, and if we are not careful, the gentrification of our people and all what has been built is going to come sort of like a zoning. If you live in Los Lagos and you choose to come to Colón actually to enjoy your own city, you become sort of like on display because you no longer will look like what is inside of Colón now. So we have to be very careful with how much we are giving up. They still will be some of us living in here. those that can fight, but it's an economical fight. It's not a physical fight. It takes a lot of planning, you know, be visionary.
Let's go into the comments again. So Badina Babe says to you, thank you for knowing the value of mothering a child. Castle Dragon 78 is referring to the canal, saying that Chinese have a stake in the canal. I don't know about that. And then Badina Babe says the Chinese tried to give Panama billions to expand the canal, but Panama wouldn't take the money. That's why the Chinese gave the money to Nicaragua to build a new canal. And then Badina said, thank you. Fortunately, Panama is wise to refuse. As per Google, May 21, 2021, Panama maintains ownership while China manages both ends. Gotta be careful with China. Bad deals in Africa. China also did a bad deal in Jamaica with the roads, that they own the roads in Jamaica, but people don't know that. Um, Jamaica sold a lot of its country to China. So Badina Babe says, Delano, your knowledge and wisdom is worth more than the crown jewels. Ancestors has the power to rectify and bust through these blockages. Maintaining relationships with the ancestors is imperative. And Venice says hello. So one of the things that I find very interesting is, this is not to take away from what you're saying, but I also have to play devil's advocate because I can't agree with everything that you say, because then this would not be a conversation. And although the government does play a major factor in the way that Colón is, we also have to, there's also something called accountability, right? And in order for things to go into a positive direction, we as a people have to learn how to take accountability. As you know, my family is from Colón, and I have lots of friends that's from Colón. And I have witnessed with my own two eyes that the same people that live there will take the cup that they're drinking and throw it outside on the floor. So I told to my friend, because this was his girlfriend at the time that did it, I'm like, why would she take the beer that she's drinking and throw it outside? Like, this is where she lives. If you don't respect where you live, how do you expect somebody else from the outside to respect? You understand what I'm saying? How are they going to respect you if you don't even respect yourself? I do feel that, yes, the government has a lot to do with it, but the people of Cologne also need to take accountability for some of the actions. I'm not saying all, but there is a group of people that don't take pride in in the city by throwing garbage in the street and not. I'm hearing some noise. I'm getting feedback. By throwing garbage in the street. Um, how would you, because you're running for representante, how would you, as a political figure, try to educate people and to let them know the importance of taking care of their own home? Because if you want people to respect your home, you have to respect your home as well.
Absolutely, it's a very good question, and I know that um, we don't like to live dirty. I think black people are one of the most cleanest people in the world, and that not to say that other people doesn't take a bath or throw
Mm-hmm.
trash anywhere. Uh, we live surrounded by two coasts. One is called Costa Riba, and the other one is called Costa Abajo. The
Mm-hmm.
difference between these two coasts is one have entwined with the Pacific, and the other one is literally the Caribbean. You can swim to Jamaica if you wanted to, just a
Mm-hmm.
joke, but you can do it. Um, these two oceans provide such a wealth that our people enjoy the beach life. The city life, meaning propaganda, have brought all kind of different junk food. This
Mm-hmm.
junk food is incremented by population. The population does not have. It doesn't mean that you can't put the trash in your pocket. Let's see how long you can sustain it.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, you put it in a black bag. You take it in a black bag, you tie it, you put it in a corner, expecting that the trash man will come and pick it up. But the government failed first because they don't use compactors. They don't move as society move. You have to move with technology.
Correct.
If you refuse technology, you will stay behind. And what
Correct.
you're doing, you will start burning stuff like if you're burning leaf. You
Mhm.
can't do that. See, there's something that they call peer pressure, and peer pressure make other people do things. So if peer pressure make you do the bad thing, it can also make you do the right thing. Trash is a you have to fight trash in a strategic way.
Okay.
And the peer pressure make people do the right thing. If you look at someone, the person pick it up and throw it in the trash. If a person feel that no one is looking at them, it doesn't mean that they are compulsive to throw it outside of the trash. But we are looking at a single individual, maybe two, three, four, five, maybe 10, maybe it's 20 that are doing it, but maybe it's 100 that are not doing it. A couple of days ago, I told the people, if they fail to come and pick the trash up,
Mhm.
let's take all the trash and take it to City Hall and just throw it right there at the steps.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what you need to
that
do.
that that
Exactly.
that so let's see if they will tell the trash man not to come and pick it up. Because if I'm paying my trash through my bill that I pay water, I expect them to come and pick up that trash. My trash should not sleep there overnight. Or just because you want to clean up the house because you have the president coming in into the city, you want to start sweeping up and cleaning up. It doesn't work like that. And then we get a bad name because the failure of our officials to put the pressure on the central government to pay the employees. Because if I own the trash company, so I have to put myself there. And forgive me for using the I because we don't do that in Rastafarian word. I own the trash company and I have 200 employees because I got to service the whole entire Colón. But the central government hold 90% of my stock and they have to pay me. And they going into their problem with Congress if they want to approve the budget or not. I cannot come out of my pocket to pay my employees if I don't get the government earmark. So the trucks, they're going to stay there because the gas costs money. I have to see what an investor go through. If an investor go through this problem, we have to pressure government so government can pay this investor so he can continue doing what he's doing. If anyone on this channel decide to build a building, the government is going to tell you we want to put 60 or 70% because you're going into an old building. So I cannot finance you the whole thing. They willing to do that. If you come in with the full amount of money, they saying, oh, he's an independent. Oh, he's a very strong independent. Look at him. He's so empowered. Okay, we want to hit him with the taxes. We want to do the taxes with him in order to see how much he's going to resist because he's failing to actually do what we asked him to do. Why McDonald's buy every building where they put they franchise to free themselves, to free themselves. We put our business in building that we don't own, so we do not free ourselves. So in economics, we have to learn to free ourselves. And that goes back into the trash because if we free ourselves, then we're paying for our own trash to be disposed in Cerro Patacón or or like we will say El Dompe. Our neighborhoods, our children don't go out there unless they don't sweep up the street. If they don't pick up the trash gets in bag. These bags wake up the next calendar day. And who take care of it? We got straight dogs. That means that the government is not doing their job. So the straight dogs will rip the bags if they smell food. It's not a failure of the people. It's the failure of the government to take the money and do what's right, but allowing all those that in Congress to continue squeezing. And the only one who is allowing this squeezing is the Chinese. They love it. I don't know why. I don't know if they printing US dollars or what, but they pay. Anything they want, they pay. They just continue paying and paying and paying. So we get intervention. The intervention is the US. He's the crime stopper. Is the Achilles, as they say, the nail of Achilles. And in politics, sadly, but they use it. I didn't make this quote. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. It doesn't mean that the US is my enemy. But if it's the only one who is going to put these people in place so that I don't find myself living in a back room that they own, so be it. Because we wasn't bad. It was not bad at all when the US was here and all its military bases was here. Nonetheless, they also had their own ways of putting their Jim Crow law down here in Panama too, because they sure did. So now I'm not going to say that I want to live with Jim Crow law here in Colón or in anywhere in Panama. I want to be able to ride my bike, go look for crabs on the other side of Gatun or Sherman, and I don't want no MP to come and tell me throw that back into the lake or throw that back into the swamps because this is American territory. So if I was born on the other side of the line, I was a US American. So we create all this. So the Chinese, the only thing he did, he kept silent because he figured, hey, they want to lean my side as soon as I show muscle. Well, we're not going your side or this side. We want to be an independent people, a sovereign nation. This country is big and green and wealthy enough in its land. They got to stop being so greedy. Both nations. They got to stop being so greedy because it's a society that they want too much. And we as black people and as good people, because if you white, you white but you black in the inside, you have to do the right thing. Invest and enjoy what we have because we do have it.
T Light Gold said we should take out KFC, McDonald's, Burger King out of our region, Colón. Um, and then IM says, I don't understand why keep La Provincia de Colón tax free for the tourists. Mr. Camille says the wind blowing around is bad already. Letting trash intently fly from your hand is work. My goodness. There was somebody here that said that they tried to purchase land in Cologne and they were turned off because of the garbage.
I believe, I believe that the plan of gentrifying our people is so live and so real and so purpose. I don't blame anyone that will come to Cologne and see the condition and walk away. I don't blame them.
IM says taxes could help the province in improving structure of school, libraries, improve neighborhoods. Speaking of trash, incentives, recycle 5 cents per soda beer bottle. Well, I think the problem that I think you just came into the lab, but he was saying that people aren't making enough money. And there aren't any jobs. I mean, there are jobs, but there aren't enough jobs. So if there aren't jobs and people, there's not enough money to go around to help bring back the province. That's what I got from the conversation that we had earlier. And then Lord Kokich says the U.S. doesn't even care about black people in America, so they're not going to care about black people in Panama.
To care about, I'm going to answer the first question, the last question, then I go to the other. The problem with the U.S. doing things in Panama is that it becomes a petty cash. The money is not really a factor. What you spend in Panama is paper chains in the US. You speak of a nation that just to send a space shuttle out of Florida, it take $1 billion. You know, that is just practice. You spend $1 billion to just send a shuttle into orbit. We don't even have a space program. We have human beings that being placed in a program. Human beings. There is no price to actually see the health and the life of people. There's no price for that. But capitalist society, how Wall Street was invented, And what does it represent around the world? What does the IMF represent around the world? What does the World Bank represent around the world? And what we play, because we are a commodity. And until we don't start showing our work and making these people use you and do for self, this one will continue. We're not asking them that we want anything for free. It's just like as a Rasta, we 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 spoke of um, reparation. Our reparation is not that we want them to give us money, but our call was very loud and clear. Mr. Pope, you own a whole lot of land. Every space that we want to go in order to develop for our people is being blocked. Let's get some of this land so we can do for self. Resign some of the title at this ownership of land that you're not using, and they still will look left way. We're not even asking for develop money because we know how to work the land.
So
So
what
we are dealing
exactly
with a
would the U.S.
phenomenon.
do? What exactly would the U if the U.S. was supposed? What do you think would actually happen if the U.S. was able to come into Cologne? Do you honestly? Because honestly speaking, from my this is just my personal opinion. If the U.S. was supposed to come into Cologne, it would literally be for their own personal interests, not necessarily to assist anyone per se, because they want their it's literally for their own personal interest. Once they get whatever they want and they leave, then we're back in square one again. So
Well,
I don't think that I honestly don't think that the answer is getting help from the US. I think it starts with us first. Um, Mr. Camille says, I would love to hear about the school environment, adopt the school perhaps. And that's where I was actually getting into it. If the government isn't going to help you and you can't sit here and wait for the government to help, you can't depend on outside sources, as in people with like outside countries to come in and help this particular impoverished. Because the reality of the situation is, even if the U.S. was supposed to come to Panama to invest in something, they're not going to invest in Colón unless it has to do with the canal. And you're gonna, like you said, we as black people, we can't be hoping. We cannot be hopeful anymore. At some point, we have to figure out how to do things on your own. I know for a fact I've been in situations where I was waiting for other people, even like with my channel. Let me just use this as an example. I know this doesn't have, it's not the same, but it is kind of the same. I was too busy trying to get a seat at somebody else's table, and they weren't giving me the seat. They weren't interested in what I was doing. They didn't care about what I was doing because I'm just a regular black girl talking crap. So what did I do? I created my own platform, which is what I have now, to showcase my people and my intentions. So instead of dwelling on what other people can do, what can we do, us as a whole? Because I see people in the comments that are trying to bridge the gap. There's people that are saying, how can Black Americans and Afro Panamanians unify together to invest back in or to help? You have Mr. Akil here talking about, I would love to hear about school environments. How about adopting schools perhaps? How can people give donations? What can other people do? Like school drives, school supplies, school drives to help out kids in Cologne, even offering services to teach English in Cologne. There's so many other ways instead of depending on the government that we could try to help ourselves. What can we do as a people? Because there's people out here that are willing to help to be able to move forward.
okay. Thank you for touching the subject about education and about self without intervention. I believe that you will always need a broker in a good deal in
Mm-hmm.
order to get something for your people. You need a broker. It's like saying you need a lawyer and you need a doctor. Everybody needs one of those. When it comes to negotiate for a society and you have the right closer, the right person to go and speak on your behalf, and if you don't trust that person to speak on your behalf, then you do it yourself. Our school system became so verbatim and so narrow that churches decided to make a subdivision to their church and turn it into private schools. The majority of the churches today, and any denomination that you want to think of have a private school right next to their building, run by the church. And they do very well because the kids have a different structure. And as those who lives away from the U.S., away from Panama, will realize that in Panama, every kid wear a uniform. They don't
Mm-hmm.
go with regular clothes. So this structure is so good because you are able to identify kids from one school to another. And we might don't have a college football or a NFL football, NBA or pre-NBA or college. We don't have March Madness. These are things that don't create that extra curriculum for athletes in school. But
Okay.
we do have, but we do have our own little spring break, and we
Okay.
do have a sport activity, but it's not on the level of commercial. It's not on the level of economics. They do it for the love of the game. So you won't see that in these schools there is a large investment in order to create this super gym, this super swimming pool, gymnastics. And it doesn't mean that our kids they cannot learn or do them. Some of these kids never in their life have hold a tennis racket
Okay.
because these programs are not demanded because the tax bracket does not allow their sport that they cannot practice because they do not have the finances either privately or through government.
Okay.
So they have to stick within the curriculum unless the parent, as a single home, will take their child and chose to place him in another school and the likes of Yale, Spelman, Harvard, Princeton, and the one that I love the most, Howard University. We don't have that here. Now we have here in Panama, we have Oxford, Louisville, Kentucky. We got Oxford, Louisville, and Cambridge. Where these schools come from, and how can we afford them? They was
Okay.
not built for me and you. And if I was to mention it around the regular people, my population down here, they will say I'm not bourgeois. I'm a yuppie. They will call me all kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that is the reality of creating the brackets. Creating the brackets. A brother from Grenada came here to the Rastafarian community and placed in my hands a aviation program for mechanic and flight. And this flight and mechanic also will propel to do tourism, air tourism. And it will be young men and young women with my same complexion being the one getting this benefit. When I took this whole, I created um, an organization in order to push this forward. Just because I place myself to be the best broker for them, this is taking the sale that it should take. But it's the same effort that others have to take into what they know. I cannot go into what I do not know. I have to find a person who knows about this in order to do the right thing with it. And
Okay.
hopefully that person have the credibility and the integrity to take our people flight and our people situation to the depth of this issue. And that way we will not be gentrified. We can compete with anyone to the best and win because we are there. It's not that we are not there. The trash, I would. It's not that I say I have the best voice or command in this town. But if we was to call and say put it in your pocket, they will put it in their pocket. But right now they are rebellious. Our people are rebellious. So what you seeing in Colón, to every single one that is in this channel, you are seeing a community that is rebellious right now to the system. There's no different than when I used to hear in America and saying, don't put your head down to no one. Keep your head up, black man. You know, and these are black women of lifting me. I'm stronger than her, and she telling me keep my head up. And I say it's too hard. She said, no, keep your head up. And until the other day, I was talking to a beautiful sister, and I told her I had the pleasure and the honor to meet Dick Gregory. And when I met Dick Gregory, he said to me, from a black man to a black man, I'm hearing an accent. And he started telling me because he was knowledgeable. I didn't know to the depth who Dick Gregory was, but I was blessed. I was blessed because I learned to listen and I learned to take an order from one of my elders and I follow it to the T. And now today I can see the benefit. To me, this is the most beautiful thing. It's like if I was on Oprah Winfrey, just that it's more nice, you know, because this is real. This is real. This is the way it's supposed to be. And I think that is greater things to come ahead. You know, we're looking forward for more things. And I mean, I can stay here with y'all all night.
We
I
can't
want
do
y'all to
that.
come down here. Y'all get on a plane and y'all come to Panama. Y'all can freely just say, I want to see Delano Dubuisson in Colón. 4th Street. You know, this is the city that I was born in, one hospital, and we're fighting to get a second one and for them to put elevators in it. We shouldn't be fighting for these things. People shouldn't be striking for these. These are the obligation of those that are in office. So if you don't know that that is your obligation, then what are you being elected for? Or why are you sitting in that chair? Some of us go beyond the check that I'm going to get paid for being inside a government office. I told some of my brothers and I tell them, I don't even want that building. I will make my office right here in the street. He said, you crazy. You can't do that. I said, why not? I serve the people. I don't serve the building. You take the building. But they get my point.
But I still need you to answer my question. And my
Yes,
question is, what can we do? Okay. The people want to know. I want to know, what can we do to help the youth? Can we either do like, well, I mean, school is about to be out in December, but obviously it's going to take planning. Can we do like a school drive? Can we get people, can we rate? Because there's Panamanian people that live in the States. There's also people that follow me that are not Panamanian and they follow the channel because they're just invested in what's going on in Black culture in Panama. And there are people that are will be willing to donate either school supplies, books, whatever the case may be. How can we put something like that together? I'm quite sure, even it's not a lot, but it's still something. Anything
absolutely.
to anything to eat, whether it's, I know there's people that's moving down to Panama and they do want to help, whether it's teaching English, um, helping to teach courses, free courses, just dedicating time. I think we as Black people, not everything is about money. We can definitely dedicate time to doing something positive in the community. What can we do? That is the question. What can we do? See, Mr. Camille is saying, I'm willing to help from afar. People are willing to help from afar. What can we do?
Okay. First, our private school are the way to go. There is, as we will call it in Spanish, ONG. These are organizations that are still credible. They are very credible and they will safeguard your intentions, your well good intentions, and you can follow up on your well good intentions and it will be accountable for. This organization, I will probably have to type up the names
You
with the
type it
website,
and then you give
yes,
it to me and I
and I
will
give it to
share
you,
it.
correct,
Yes.
so that you can, you know, present it to those who are interested because they are, and they do this work, you know, day in and day out. They do it, and they sure will appreciate the help and to have y'all guys here in the ground to actually see the work. That is the way you actually change the course of this river that they are driving. Everything else that you may see, heard, or feel that is negative, by this effort is how we change the course of the river because they don't expect it.
Well,
And
we want
when,
to help. We want to help.
yes, yes,
We want to do something. Thank you, Alexis S., for the super chat. And Mr. Camille, thank you also for the super chat as well. Look, everyone's like saying they want to help. Like we don't want to hear no more. Is this person no finger pointing anymore? It's time for a change, and this is the time that we are going to move forward. We don't want to depend on America. We're not dependent on the Panamanian government. We are solely dependent on us. So you've been asking, when is the time? The time is now, and there's a whole bunch of people in here, and there's people that are going to be watching after that are willing to help out. So just give me the information, where they can donate, how they can donate, or if we could put something together, do something together, like some type of fundraiser, so that they can see that their money is going towards something. Because I know sometimes people are scared to be like to put money in people's hand because they're not sure it's
absolutely,
going to go
absolutely,
to exactly what it is. That's why I was mentioning something like if people could donate school books or pens, paper, book bags,
absolutely,
anything.
absolutely,
I'm big on children. I love children. Like I think that children are angels. So my heart is always where children are. I know that people
absolutely.
have different love for certain things. Sometimes people are for young adults, but my thing is children. But you guys leave it in the comment section what you be interested in donating. Even scholarships. I've had people reach out to me from fraternities, Omega Psi Phi, that was looking to give scholarships to black men in Panama to go to the States for college. So there are people that want to do something. I am here to help you. I want to do something too because you know that's where my blood is from. My whole family is from Colón. So obviously I have a special a special connection with the people of Colón because that's where my people is. So you tell me what the word is, what we need to do because there's a whole bunch of people that are willing to help and let's get it. Let's do that. Let's do that. I want to do something. I don't want to talk and
Okay,
complain no more.
okay. I'm gonna take the opportunity to give what is called a in the U.S. they call it a plug, right?
Hmm.
Um, but it's a little bit more massive than a plug because we're talking about two sites at one is at 33 acres and the other one is at 30 acres. And you could call them sister cities. Now, these acres are owned by black people. They are ready to be developed. And in order to develop two property as massive as these are, first we need to do what is called a site study.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I want you all to just bear with me for a second. Just imagine that because I work in the environment as I place myself as a politician and I decide to work for my people, they turn me into this politician because of my community work. They call me community leader, which is far from the truth. I just care and I'm out there. So because there have been many travelers and people who wanted to see Colón for real, I was able to take them, make them see Costa Arriba and Costa Abajo because it's two coasts with beautiful beaches and a very nice place in order to build a home or to purchase a home. So now I found myself with these two different properties. In the beginning, I thought of an amusement park, something resembling Don's Riverfall in Jamaica or Chorrillos, for anyone who been there. But then I said, if the system is gentrifying our people to put them in less than 300 square feet, I want to put them in 1,000 square feet, which is way bigger. So how many home development can fit inside of 33 acres, and what it would take in order to build this, and what will be the prices for these homes? This is all business. This is not a matter of just giving it. because people have to take value and pride into what they're working for.
Correct.
But it will not be something that will exploit our people, and it will give them literally what they deserve for their money and with jobs, because it's not just creating a a home, you're creating a way of living. And I take this idea from studying Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma. I take this idea from the history of that town that once was the mecca of black people before it was Atlanta, Georgia, or Washington, D.C., or even New York, because it was a business environment. This place, Colón, has the potential for that in those properties outside of Colón. Sticking to what is the present and questioning our own mortality, we can work for this for the next 20 years and do very, very well with it for our black people down in this city. But we have to be resilient. We can't, at the first bite of a mosquito, we just want to run on a plane and leave, because that's where the people hold us accountable. We have to understand that sometimes you won't have no hot water. You got to take a shower with cold water. And it's so beautiful because we got sun all year round. So it takes time. I can't be hard on those who that never have had the chance to be away more than 30 days from their home. But once you sink in into the ground, you won't want to go back. As they say, you go black, you don't go back. You don't go, you know? Yeah. But y'all understand.
Well, just to wrap it up, because it's
Yes.
getting late, I do want to say that don't be scared. Thank you, Amazing Oski, for the super chat. You guys are amazing with the super chats. I really appreciate them. Don't be scared to go to Cologne. Cologne is a beautiful place, regardless of what you may see on television. The beaches are amazing. The people are amazing. The food is okay. And I love to eat. I am going to reach out to you personally to figure out what we can do. And when I say we, I mean everybody that's part of the V Squad, because that's what I call you guys. And to see what we can do to either give a scholarship away, do something, okay? Even if it's one person, we start with one person, and who knows where this could be 20 years from now, um, and who you may help. So, with that being said, I will say I don't want to depend on the government. I don't want to depend on anybody else on the outside. It starts with us, we as black people, and our comrades. Um, we're going to be fine. We're going to propel Colón and the people of Colón in a positive direction. If you are C3, make sure you vote for Delano. He is running for the representante. I don't have C3. I'm 8, so I can't vote for you, but my mom said she will vote for you. Um,
Thank you.
and thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You guys have been awesome. You guys always, always come through. We've been on this chat for 1 hour and 48 minutes and 27
Wow.
seconds. And you guys stuck around. Um, so make sure you guys are hitting the like button, because we want to make sure that everyone knows about Delano, and we want everyone to hear his words of wisdom. So please, guys, make sure you hit the like button, because when you hit the like button, it helps for the video to go viral. And this is a video that people need to hear about. People need to know about what's going on. There may be someone who happens to stumble upon this video and happen to be a billionaire, and decide, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go invest in Cologne because these two black brothers and sisters was talking about this place, and I want to give back. You never know. So please, guys, make sure you're liking. Make sure you sharing the video. Share it, share it, share it. I don't care if you don't share any other video. But this video, make sure you're sharing it to everybody on your Facebook. Y'all be on Facebook talking foolishness on Facebook about what happened and this and the third. This is important information, important information. This is a wealth of information. So make sure you guys are sharing it on all your platforms, okay? So make sure you liking and sharing. You don't have to share any other video. I don't care about any other video. But this one, you need to make sure you share it, okay? So thank you guys for always tuning in to my video, and peace and love.